What's up, everybody? This is Kruphix, God of Horizons, my Simic deck. So basically the goal of this deck is to create as much mana as you possibly can, since he has that bottom ability there. If unused mana would empty from your mana pool, instead it becomes colorless. Also, you have no maximum hand size, so pretty good. Alright, so let's get into the deck. Alright, so first we'll talk about the land package. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 basic islands. Eight basic forests. Hinterland Harbor. Simic Growth Chamber. A few utility lands. Yavimaya Coast. This one's really good in this deck, since the fact that you can tap it to make it colorless, since all of your mana ends up being colorless mostly anyways. Most of the stuff in this deck's only going to require 2 green or 3 blue, which isn't hard to do. But colorless is really what you're going for here, and you'll see why later. Breeding Pool, Temple of Mystery, a couple of utility ones, Commander Tower, Reliquary Tower, Alchemist Refuge. This one's pretty good in the deck to be able to give things flash at instant speed. Now into the artifact section. Not running a lot of mana rocks in here. I think I'm only running 2. I got Soul Ring, obviously. Vidalcan Shackles, pretty good. If you're running islands and you're not running Vidalcan Shackles, what are you doing? Venser's Journal. This gives me max hand size, but also helps with the life gain. It does cost 5. Most people wouldn't run something like this, but this deck generates so much mana that it really doesn't matter. And it is good to have in case your Kruphix gets bounced or put back in the command zone. If he does go live and turn into a creature, that you're still able to keep that max hand size without having to discard down the hand size. So this deck does draw a lot of cards. Vidalcan Ori, obviously flash, really important in this deck. If you have all that mana, you want to be able to flash your creatures out quickly, so huge piece of the deck. Simic Signet, that and Soul Ring's the only 2 I'm running, so. Alright, now we'll get into the enchantment section of the deck, right? So we're running Wilderness Reclamation. Pretty notorious at this point, I guess. I mean, but you know, just another Seedborn Muse type effect, though it is only good on your turn, but I mean, you'll take it. Just the fact to be able to play your cards and then untap at your end step and say go is pretty powerful. So Leyline of Anticipation. I be honest with you, I've never lost a game when this was in my opening hand. I don't think I've ever lost a game with it. This deck is just insane. It'll lock a game down on turn 4 or 5. You know, it's not there's no combos in the deck, but if you get this in your opening hand and if it isn't removed, you know, a couple times going around, you're pretty much going to have the game locked up. Omniscience, obviously being able to cast all your stuff for free, it's pretty good. Search for Azcanta, also just a great value card. Mystic Remora. I run this over Rhystic Study. I just can't make room for both of them, unfortunately. I have enough card draw. I have enough mana to produce it, so I just run the Mystic Remora. If I get it out early, fine. If not, whatever. Doesn't matter. I mean, I can always pay for the thing. So now into the ramp package. So I am running, you know, only 26 lands in the deck, but reason being is I'm running a lot of green ramp spells. So I got Nissus Pilgrimage, Growth Spiral, Rampant Growth, 3 Visits, Farseek, and Cultivate. All those just help out in the early game, get your mana going so you can start banking it on other players' turns. So we'll get into the instant category. So first up, needs no introduction, probably the most loved, most hated, whatever, the most polarizing card in the format, Cyclonic Rift. Counterspell. Reclaim, really good to take stuff out of the graveyard, get it back. Blue Sun Zenith, this is, most of the time I just end up drawing a bunch of cards with it. The fact that it's an instant's huge, but there is some times where you can just, you know, if you've got 70, 80 mana, you can just draw somebody out and just end the game. Fact or Fiction, Dig Through Time, Plasm Capture. Mystical Tutor. Savage Summoning, really good to be able to protect anything that you want to come out. I've got a lot of extremely high costed creatures in this deck when we get to creatures section, so you don't want to put 10 mana into something and have it get countered. So this is really good, since the fact that it can be countered and whatever you play after that can be countered. The fact that it enters with an additional +1/+1 on it, I mean, it's just gravy on top. But I mean, for 1 green, it's like, why not run this if you're running, especially if you're running big creatures or big, you know, big spells like that. You don't want to get countered. Swan Song, Nature's Claim. I run Swan Song and Nature's Claim simply because they only cost 1. I mean, you can get these out on turn 1 if you need to, for whatever reason. I just slowly over the years just went lower and lower on the cost of my, especially my instance and instant spells. So. Incubation, Incongruity, just a little bit of flexibility to have the dual card in there. Brainstorm, Cryptic Command, Autumn's Veil, pretty much the same thing as the other one. You know, just basically makes your spell uncounter, the next spell uncounterable. Mana Drain, Disallow. All right, and then we'll get into the sorceries next. So I am running quite a few sorceries, but the fact that I have several ways that I can play them at instant speed makes it pretty good. Finale of Devastation. Good to be able to get these big monsters out, when you know, these big creatures out without having to go search for them, you know, or with being able to search for them, I should say, without having to draw them. Pull for Namar, just a general card spell. Show and Tell, huge. And typically I don't hold on to this. I don't wait until I get, you know, something crazy. I'll usually just play it. I mean, a lot of times I'll go search for Omniscience, obviously, and then just play Show and Tell and flip over an Omniscience, and then that's pretty much game over right there. I mean, and that can happen on turn 3. See the Unwritten, just a great card draw spell, especially in this deck when I've got huge creatures in it. Rider Replication, great, especially if you target something that's, you know, something crazy with it. Ponder, Personal Tutor, Animus Awakening. I should have went in the ramp spell, but this one's really good too. A lot of times I'll dump like 20-30 in it to just get every land in my deck out. And then especially if you've got Wilderness Reclamation out, they're just going to untap anyway, so it's a pretty big blowout. Ancestral Vision, Boundless Realms, Curse of the Swine, super underrated card. That thing gets you out of a lot of problems. Obviously, I'm running green, so Seaborn Muse must include. Oracle of Moldiah, Mystic Snake, Chasm Skulker, Cackling Counterpart, Nyx Bloom Ancient, Kenneth Bonder Prodigy. Just his ability on the bottom there is just absolutely insane. To be able to go get you know, something, to be able to look through your library to get creatures, pretty powerful. Mana Gorger Hydra, thing gets huge quick. Azusa, love to be able to play extra lands early on my turn. I want to ramp as fast as possible in this deck. Omnispeaker Adept, Teamer Sabertooth, sorry. Just being able to get the creatures out of harm's way, you know, being able to pay 2 and then basically return that creature to your hand and then make this indestructible. I mean, it's about the best protection you're going to get. Green Warden of Marasa, it's great to be able to get something when it enters, and then when it dies, you can get something else too. It's just, that card's amazing. Altered Ego, great to be able to copy something. Genesis Hydra, another one that lets you just flip over your deck and go to town. Hooded Hydra, Consecrated Sphinx. I'm not playing a deck in blue if it ain't got Consecrated Sphinx, period. Just the card draw is insane on it. Of course, it gets removed the instant it hits the field or gets countered, but I mean, I'm not leaving home without it. Coiling Oracle, Reclamation Sage, Phantasmal Image, obviously E-Witness. And then these are basically my finisher package here. I got Void Winnower, 11/9, won't let your opponents cast even converted mana cost. I mean, this thing will, sometimes it doesn't matter what it is, it'll just hose people. I mean, it's like no matter what they got, it's like they look down and they got a brainstorm and the rest are all even cost. They can't even play at that point. The game's just over. Hangerback Walker, just a huge one to be able to dump stuff into. And if it does get killed, if it doesn't get Swords of Plowshares, exiled, or whatever, it's just going to blow up into a bunch of little 1/1 flyers. So awesome. Walking Ballista, obviously in the game by itself, you just dump a bunch of mana into it and then just hold it over everybody's head. Worm Coil Engine, just you know, just pure value creature. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Nobody ever likes to see this thing come down. This thing will mill you out super fast, and it's just a huge threat. And the you know, being able to exile 2 things when it hits, when you cast it, even if it gets, you know, even if it gets countered, you still get the cast trigger. So being able to exile 2 things, pretty strong. Desolation Twin, this thing's huge, especially if you copy it with Rider Replication. I mean, it just gets ridiculous. Being able to get, you know, what, 5 10/10s and 5 10/10 tokens, it's pretty insane. Emrakul. And then last, I am running 3 Planeswalkers, so I got Teferi, Master of Time. He's basically just on there because you can activate them every time on every player's turn, unlike a normal Planeswalker where you can only activate it on your turn. Unless you got like a Chain Veil or something like that out where you can activate it twice, but you can activate this on everybody's turn. So just being able to draw a card and discard a card. So basically just being able to loot on everybody's turn is, I mean, to me, it's worth playing. Nissa is really only there to double the mana. So whenever I tap a forest for mana, I add another green. So definitely huge there. And then obviously Ugin, since we're a big mana deck and we can get it out pretty quickly. This thing is just a absolute monster when it comes down. Being able to deal 3 damage to target creature, but really it's there for the -X, right? Because it comes down with 7 loyalty. So exiling each permanent with, you know, each permanent with converted mana cost X or less, it's 1 or more colors. So it's not going to hit, if it does come down late, it's not going to hit my Eldrazi. But it is going to basically wipe the board. And most of the time you can wipe the board for like 4, 5, 6 at the most. So yeah, most of the time you're playing this and it's still around and you're just wiping the board. So anyways, that's the deck. The deck does play, it's a strong deck. I mean, it's very, it has some key pieces. So the key pieces are, you know, your ley line of anticipation, anything that gives you flash, anything that can untap your mana, is big in this deck. It does tend to dirtle a little bit. I mean, obviously I could turn it into a combo deck, though I don't like to play combo, and probably combo out fairly quickly. You know, I could do the Peregrine Drake type thing and then just untap it all and then just brain freeze somebody out, but that's not how I like to play. So it's a fair deck, but it is fairly controlly. If you get a Seedborn Muse down and flash, I mean, you're basically, at that point, you're basically playing a Prophet of Kruphix. And I mean, if it sticks, you know, if it sticks and you get done tap, I mean, there's so much you can do that at that point it's not going to matter. And same thing with Omniscience. So basically that's the deck. So you're just going to try to make as much mana as you can and drop some big creatures and smash face. Or there's always a backup plan of just making somebody draw their whole deck. Other than that, that's it. Hope you liked it. Take it easy. Bye.